Hey everybody, Ray here. I'm not a selfie guy actually, but today we're looking at the Xperia XA Ultra with a 16 megapixels camera on the front with OIS support and an LED flash. Also, it comes with a near bezel-less Full HD beautiful display. So let's take a deeper look, and this is my full review on the Xperia XA Ultra. A mid-ranger but with top-notch build quality and a stunning design. Speaking of the design, it's not designed for one-handed use. Based on my experience, it's impossible. Just take a quick look at the X performance. That's the difference. So what we're getting here is a beautifully designed, well-built, two-handed device, even though with a near bezel-less display. However, there's a 2.5D curved design on the front. Just take a closer look. Brilliant. If you don't mind using your phone with two hands, everything is massive, giant, beautiful here on this 6-inch giant display, especially for video watching and web browsing. While on the back, a mid-ranger, not metal friendly. However, the two sides of the frame does made out of metal. It feels cool and sleek, and there's a color difference here on the bottom edge and the top end of the device, and those are plastic. Still, the build quality is top notch. Those buttons are super clicky, super tactile. Even better than the Xperia X I've tested before. Interesting. If we take a closer look at the edges, we'll see those 2.5D slightly curved edges here on the Xperia XA Ultra as well. So not only does it look like a flagship device, the build quality is there as well. And mind you, there's a separated microSD card slot here and a dual SIM tray. So thumbs up Sony, this time they gave us a stunning design on a mid-ranger with decent build quality. Then we're looking at the camera, one of the most amazing part of this phone. On the back we have a 21.5 megapixels shooter. It takes less time to save a photo compared to its predecessor. However, video recording is still limited at Full HD at 30 frames per second. So there's no 4K mode for sure, but there's AR. Back on the front we have a 16 megapixels camera with an LED flash, and it's optically stabilized. What's even more interesting is autofocus, and there are quite a few settings for the LED flash. Again, I'm not a big fan of taking selfies, but look at that. Crazy. No matter it's daytime or nighttime, taking pictures or even videos. The LED flash and the pixels-packed camera get the job done very easily. And for the stills, the colors are really vibrant. The white balance is also accurate, but artifact is way more noticeable than acceptable. If you just don't care about the small details on a photo, or you just share your photos on Facebook, Instagram or other social medias, then it's good to go. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy those something old in Hong Kong. Right, then we have the performance. We have a MediaTek Helio P10 processor under the hood with 3GB of RAM, 16GB of storage, with microSD expansion and a 1080p display. Apps opening is not as quick and snappy as flagship devices. Frame drop is also noticeable on Facebook scrolling, but day-to-day media consumption and the user interface is buttery smooth. For those serious gamers, 1080p is not a very high resolution to drive in today's standard, but hardware demanding games including perfect angle is playable but not enjoyable. So not a gaming machine, but again 6-inch giant phablet, perfect for web browsing, videos watching, and maybe other media consumption. The next bit is the functions. For a 6-inch giant phablet, one-handed operation is a must. Swiping from the right bottom corner to the center of the display, it will bring you to the one-handed mode. Then you can resize the window or tap the blank area to back to the normal interface. Other system apps like the dialer is also one-handed friendly. Same for the lock screen. Move away from those one-handed operations, the Xperia XA Ultra also shares the new Sony launcher from the X and the X Performance, almost the same. Now you can swipe down once to get those quick setting toggles, of course with the notifications, as well as we are getting those home screen settings. Customization is not as good as the HTC 10, but we still get customizable animations and also double tap to sleep, but there's no double tap to wake on this guy, which is available on the X and the X Performance, and also no fingerprint sensor here. Speaking of those missing functionalities, we don't have X Reality on this guy, but we have Bravia Engine 2 instead. Luckily, we can still modify the white buttons based on our own personal preference. The preset one is slightly on the bluish side and is on the cooler side. Contrast ratio and the color saturation is not the best I've seen, but the viewing angle is great, with noticeable light bleeding when the phone is tilted, but 1080p on a mid-ranger, so quite good. However, it's not the brightest display I've seen from Sony. But look at that nearly bezel-less display, fantastic. Another missing function is DSE-HX, but we still get clear audio plus and equalizer. The phone has actually just one speaker on the bottom edge. The one on the front is actually just an earpiece. So on such a noisy environment you can still hear the music, the volume a pass. And last but certainly not least, the battery life test. With such a massive 6-inch IPS display but such a small 2700 mAh battery. Based on our standard battery life test, the battery life is even a little bit shorter than the Xperia X and the LG V10. So the Xperia XA Ultra, a massive 6-inch display with a stunning nearly bezel-less design, rigid and top-notch build quality. An okay 21 megapixels camera on the back, but a really impressive 16 megapixels optically stabilized camera on the front with an LED flash, a separated microSD card slot and a dual SIM tray. Day-to-day media consumption scores a passable grade, but 3D gaming is not exactly a gaming machine. So the bottom line, if you don't mind using your phone with two hands and you just simply don't need that much power, then the Xperia XA Ultra packs a stunning design, top-notch build quality and the best selfie camera.